Hi everybody, it's Russ from My Hammers 11. I hope you're all safe and well. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and hitting that bell icon so you're made aware of any time I put new content on. Loads of videos going up. Daily we have new interviews going up, but sometimes 2-3 times a day. Every interview, every memory, every guest is priceless. And I won't want you to miss any of them, so make sure you hit that bell icon. Some really exciting stuff coming up on the channel soon as well. Loads of great guests, including today's guest. Now, usually when I'm doing interviewing, I ask people what they've been busy during lockdown. This man hasn't stopped during lockdown. If you've got kids, that his online lessons have been an absolute godsend for my daughter particularly. He's the education ambassador for West Ham Foundation as well as Premier League, but you might have seen him on BBC Two on his Bobby Seagull show, University Challenge when he won Celebrity Mastermind. The man doesn't stop. It's Bobby Seagull. Bob, how you doing, man?
Cheers. I don't want to describe myself as the Mark Noble of education. Like I'm hustling. I'm here, there, everywhere. I'm Mr. Education.
But you're always representing though, because you're always doing them from that room with the shirt behind it. Always representing, Bobby. Always representing.
Yeah, but very proud, claret and blue. Like I'm pretty certain my blood. If I cut it, there's a claret coming out there. It goes claret when it's oxygenated blood, and then it's blue when it goes away, deoxygenated blood, away from the heart.
Brilliant. So obviously you've been really, really busy. Obviously schools have sort of closed on Friday, so you haven't got sort of the online lessons doing stuff. But you're as busy as ever, doing lots of bits and bobs. All your quizzes.
Yes, I do. So obviously for parents with younger kids, I do lessons. Like I do maths online, I do geography, I do history.
Yeah.
And then I normally do weekly quizzes for the NHS. Again, Saturday is my family showpiece, like a bit of charades, sing along, dance along, and the different themes. Like the one coming up on Saturday is Olympic themed. I did a Asian themed one. I did a 4th of July. So there's always themed ones. But on Wednesdays at 8 o'clock, I usually do a football quiz. Again, I love football. I love quizzing. I love talking, as you can probably tell. And you combine that together. So Wednesdays at 8 o'clock, I always do like a YouTube, Facebook quiz.
That's brilliant.
For the NHS.
Yeah, exactly. And all proceeds go to NHS, which is fantastic. And as you said, football is in your blood, and West Ham is. And I know that I've obviously read up about you, Bobby, and stuff. And I know that obviously, sort of football got you into maths, particularly if you like the stickers and all the stuff like that, wasn't it? If I remember you mentioning.
Yeah, it was. So I remember. So I'm born and bred Newham, East Ham, my whole life. My parents are originally from South India, a place called Kerala. So funnily enough, my dad's surname is Jose, like Jose Mourinho, because my family are Catholic. So in theory, there's another universe where there's a Bobby Jose. But my dad read a book growing up called Jonathan Livingston Seagull. And it's about a seagull that dared to be a bit different. Seagulls are normally annoying. All they do is eat fish and pinch your chips. And in this book, seagulls are like that. But one bird called Jonathan Livingston actually found there's a greater meaning in life if you learn to fly. And he taught other seagulls to fly. So my dad was so inspired by the book, Russ, that he wanted his kids to be inspired. So he said, I'm going to give you the surname Seagull from birth. So it's like a totally made up name, but it's my real surname on my birth certificate. So Bobby Seagull is a once in a lifetime, never been before name, maybe never again, unless I have Bobby Seagull Jr. So I've always been inspired to educate myself and inspire others.
Yeah. And it's even more important now, obviously, with teachers not being readily available. And my daughter, she's 8, and I know that more than other. The respect of teachers is ridiculous now. Having to sort of homeschool, and your sort of lessons, particularly sort of the history and geography. My daughter loves history, so she always watches it, and it's quite funny. I was like, I'm talking to Bobby. So she's not here today because she'll be back. She'll be nagging me to say hello. But it must be lovely, being able to impart your sort of your love, your knowledge to the younger generation, particularly now when they sort of need it, to be honest.
That's exactly right, Russ. And when you're talking about how I got into maths and football, because again, when I educate people, sometimes they think, I don't really get maps, so I don't really get history dates, I don't really get maths. And what I try and do is try and find a way to connect it to them. And again, for football, I use that as a way of connecting with kids, because most kids love football. Not all love maths. I know that's the reality. And I got into football through talking about football stickers. I remember back in the mid-90s at St. Michael's Playground, used to have boys and girls always comparing players, saying who was better. And they'd make comparisons like, Letizia is better than Ian Wright. And when you ask them why, they just go like, "Oh, because he is, because I'm bigger than you, I can tell you off." And I took all the data from the sticker book, you know, the names, ages, heights, goals scored, left foot, right foot, penalties, and input it into an early version of Excel. And then when players have sort of friends would have these chats, I would do a quick comparison and come back the next day and say, "Oh, you know, you said Letizia is better. Maybe he looks aesthetically better, but Ian Wright's actually more effective on the pitch just based on his stats." My friend's like, "You're a nerd, but you got a good point." And that showed me like, my God, numbers are powerful. And that just reinforced my passion for trying to find learning in the world, rather than obviously the books are cool, but if you can see, you know, whether it's through baking and helping your parents in the kitchen and using numbers there, whether it's looking at world politics and understanding how geographies and borders impact. So just trying to find ways of making it real for people. And I found that football made maths come to life for me.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I mean, yeah, I mean that's the sort of I think the difficulty with parents is they're doing a lot of home education, home lessons and stuff, and they necessarily don't know the way it was taught before, or they remember how they used to be taught, and it's different. And you know, it's like me and my wife. You know, when my daughter's writing, they write phonetically, really, don't they nowadays? And so my wife's like, "This makes no sense at all. This is just full of spelling mistakes." No, it's not. It's different. And you're right. Finding a way to appeal to those to get sort of education is cool, and that's why I found difficult, to be honest. And that's why listening to your lessons has really helped, because I sort of nick a few ideas. I seem like this genius teacher, and but you said, you know, you've been, you know, new and born and bred, you know, didn't live, you know, a stone's throw away from Upton Park.
We can hear it. I'm just gutted nowadays, because back then, when I was a small boy, 7, 8, 9, we could always hear, we could see them, the fans walking through East Ham, the ones who do the long walk rather than go to Upton Park. And then you also hear the West Ham, the choruses. And I was always like, "Oh my God, one day we need to go there." So and we could, when I got my first season ticket, it was my gap year after school. And I went and bought West Ham season ticket, and I could leave the house at about 2:40ish and not even walk super quickly and get to my East end stand, the chicken run stand, in time for the Bubbles chorus. And I was like, yes. Brilliant. And because the East End stand, you could get in and out really quickly. My brother had a season ticket in the Doc. Is it the Doc Martens, the one on the opposite side, the big one? And he would have to leave like 10 minutes before me to get to his, because I could just, and I'd be waiting for him at the end of the game, chilling, and he's like in the big stand at the top.
That's the thing, but that's what I mean. It's like what was nice, you sort of, you could hear it, and you obviously, when you weren't there, when you weren't going to the games, you could hear the goals, so you probably knew how the games are getting on. And they just said, once you're there and once you're hooked, aren't you, Bobby? It just gets into I mean, you know, that's what I mean. You know, you wore that top, you know, when you're filming and things like that. You always got to do a little bit of West Ham, and it just creeps into osmosis, isn't it? It just gets into
it's almost like in the 19th century and early part of the 20th century, many people went to church. Religion was a big part of life. And football's almost become that. Like, it's our way of connecting with our community, our cathedral. I know London Stadium will one day, you know, we all got to love it, I'm sure. But like Upton Park was our cathedral. We'd sing together, we'd worship together, you know, at the feet of, you know, the Canio and our minister, our pastors, Harry Redknapp. You know, that's what brings joy to life, I reckon.
Yeah, exactly. And you're right. It is. There's loads of power. I think when people think of it like that, you know, they do treat obviously football like a religion, but their club is like a religion. You're right. And it's like, and if anything, the congregation has been more useful ever since, you know, obviously it's lockdown, because, you know, you've got all the banter and stuff, and it's lovely to see. I mean, part of this channel was developed because of the West Ham congregation, the West Ham family. You know, I wouldn't have got to God knows how many subscribers and stuff. It wasn't everyone being interested.
Well, you two getting this together, because again, we've got such a great community West Ham fans, and it's brilliant people like you are just taking it out there and showing the world what we've got.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I've even got rival fans. I'm going to be on their podcasts, and so, you know, it's sort of talking about it. So it's brilliant. It's brilliant. So obviously, you know, being a season ticket holder, obviously, you know, your family been season ticket holders for 20 odd years now. You know, from the old ground to the new ground. Any big memories stick in your mind, Bobby, of your time at West Ham, but also maybe even doing stuff through the foundation? You know, people you've met or stuff like that.
Oh, so this thing is like, there's memories of games, there's memories of incidents. Like, so in terms of like when I first realized, I like football and the connection to the club, was when I was in primary school. I played for my team in central defense, St. Michael's, and we came up against St. Joachim's in a Newham tournament. And there's a lad called Jermaine. Apparently we heard he's quite a decent footballer.
Yeah.
And I was a defender. And this guy scored 5 virtuoso goals. One was I miskicked, he volleyed it straight in. He scored a corner. I tripped him up for a penalty, he scored. I tripped him up for a free kick, he scored. And another goal, he picked up the ball at the halfway line, went past all of us, and I kept him trying to like trip him up, couldn't get anywhere, and we whacked him from the edge of the box. And then their teacher subbed him off at halftime, and this guy's name was Jermaine Defoe.
Yes.
And he ended up going to my secondary as well at St. Bonds, and I was so pleased. And when later on he joined the club, I know only for about 5 years, but it just like for me, this weird like connection of how I played against someone, thought he looked pretty special. I did an article for my like St. Michael's like internal school newsletter saying this guy's going to be great. And even when I got after St. Bonds, I got a scholarship to Eton for 2 years. When I was at Eton, he was on loan at Bournemouth, and he got like 10 goals in 10 games. I remember him turning up in the Sun newspaper, and I was telling my friends at Eton, like my like, middle class posh friends, I know that guy, I know him, I know Jermaine Defoe. Well, I don't know him; he's an acquaintance. But I was like, so like that was a cool family like connection to the club.
Yeah, and actually, when you was at Eton, I read about not only obviously West Ham royalty, but you played against. There's not many people who have played against the royal. See, Prince Harry, wasn't it?
Prince Harry, yeah, because he was in a different house. So it's weird. I would never call him. He's not a friend, but those people that at school that you recognize and you'd like, yeah, right.
Yeah,
He's one of those acquaintances that I would, he would nod in approval. But we played against him in the cup quarterfinal, and I'd become then a right back. What was like Poxy, utility player. I was a utility player for my school, my house, and he was left midfield. So we were tussling a lot. And then once I tried to nutmeg him, it didn't quite. I tried to chip nutmeg him, but it ended up hitting him in the crown jewels, and he went down.
Brilliant.
I remember for many years I was thinking, I hope he's fine. And then when I heard that he had a baby, little Archie, I was like, fine. I didn't end
it's all working
line somewhere. But I was quite shocked I needed nutmeg him.
That's your after dinner speech when you retire.
It makes it in.
It's brilliant. It's fantastic. The kick, Royal and the Crown Jewels. You can't make it up. It's fantastic. And obviously, since obviously you do a lot of stuff with the Premier League, and I know you beat Gareth Southgate at a quiz.
Yes, he was. Oh my god! So that was the thing is when people often look at me and go, "Bobby, you're really smart and knowledgeable." Smart, I am, but I work hard at my knowledge. Again, with football, I'm constantly looking up league tables, stats, reading different reports. So I think it shows that. Like, again, if you meet, again, as a teacher, some of my young students, they can read off so many impressive stats about performance and historical cup records and our managers. And then you ask them, like, okay, so tell me who was Prime Minister in 1985. They're like, no idea. Who was king in 1500s? And they're like, no idea. So it's not because the facts are difficult. It's because when they love something and they're passionate about it, they absorb it. And the same thing with me in football. When I did Celebrity Mastermind, I remember I was having a chat at the BBC and they were saying, "Oh, can you pick something apart from maths?" I'm like, "Easy, I'll pick football related." And I was going to go for West Ham, and they said, "Can you pick something a bit broader?" If I'm back on it, I'll probably pick West Ham. But I picked England World Cup. So again, studying football, learning about football is not a chore because just watching goals, reading reports, again, having this casual conversation. Again, if people are having a conversation about, let's say, Albert Einstein and relativity, a lot of people might go, "Oh God, boring." But I think if you find something passionate, it's not a chore. Learning, reading, watching about it, talking to people about it. And I think that's what making education exciting. That's the way to get people involved.
Yeah, totally. I mean, funnily enough, I was watching an old movie, not old, a couple of years old, on Amazon Prime the other day, and it was about darts.
Yeah.
And the House of the Flying Darts, it was called, and they were talking about just the mathematics involved in obviously darts, because you have to not only but you've got a probability, and then you've got we're getting very off topic, doesn't matter. You have the probability of checkout, but obviously knowing if I'm going to miss, I'm going to hit a 5, and then I have to. It's incredible thinking about it. It was like they went into real depth, and you don't think of it like that, but it was like it's so true, and it's like how clever these guys are, because it's just like, and obviously repetition as well, but you know, when they say a lot of things when you learn at school and you don't use them afterwards. With my, I mean, that's what I'm trying to teach my daughter. Like, we're talking about money and we're doing all the pounds and shit, and not pounds, shilling, and pence. How old am I? But yeah, pounds and pence, and she's not relating to it because she does her Robux on her game. I go, right, 500 Robux equals this. So how much is? And you're right. It's just about finding a way to make it enjoyable. And yeah, it's great. And yeah, I can see the whole top, your own personal top trumps, and that's brilliant. Okay, actually, you're wrong. You're wrong. Actually, Antonio does have a better cross.
Can I show you something in my room? Like my family, we were into. My dad found this. This is like in the mid-90s. We created our own fantasy football leagues in the mid-90s.
How cool is that?
So again, like we were into our stats massively. We had our own teams. We had our own transfer markets. You could buy and sell players. Me and my cousins, and we had different league tables. Yeah, that's 93, 94 season. So we we were almost like creating a little business, creating values for players, but we were just having a game, having fun. I think it's about learning. If you can make it fun, you can get kids really hooked into it. Yeah,
no, you're totally right. And as you said, but then, having fun and being a West Ham fan, don't necessarily go into, particularly now, obviously we didn't have football for, over 100 days. And I think everyone got a bit used to that. And then it all started again, and nothing had changed until obviously recently, where we seem to have at least got ourselves out of the poo, and we'll be playing in the Premier League hopefully. Bar
99.99%. Like as a mathematician,
exactly.
I can say that's we've made it.
I was going to ask you, from a statistical perspective, how safe we are. But yes, it will be a hell of a swing if that happens. But no, yeah, I mean, what do you think about the whole obviously football back and? You must have obviously watched quite a lot of football as well. Are you busy? But obviously watch. Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous, isn't it?
I've been watching every I think the thing is, I remember in the late 90s, early 2000s. So my dad decided he'd get Sky for us, but then Sky Sports, and then we were like watching everything, like Tranmere Rovers. And my dad's like, if I get this, my kid's education is going to go down the pot. So he stopped it, and then so we ended up having to if we wanted to watch a game, we had to go to our cousin's house. So our uncle had Sky, so we'd watch the games there. But it meant that we couldn't watch every single night. Because again, as adults now, we've got Sky and BT Sports, and now under lockdown, I'm watching too much football again. The thing is, I used to go to every game at Upton Park or the London Stadium, but then as work got busy, now it's more difficult. So my family, we share the tickets around. But yeah, lockdown's been dangerous because now I'm just watching everything. Like it doesn't matter if it's an inconsequential mid-table clash or if it's even was it Juventus Lazio yesterday, seeing if Ronaldo would overtake Immobile. I don't really like Italian football anymore. I used to love the late 90s. Remember, was it Channel 4?
Yeah, Gazzetta.
Lazio. I don't watch modern Italian football, but I'm just watching everything. So it's a bit dangerous. It's just taking up all my time.
I know. I actually, to be honest, and I actually can't keep up. I would look at my phone and there's been 3 games on already. And I was like, when did that happen? Obviously if it was a Bournemouth game, I knew it was happening. But if you said I don't know, Leicester, Everton or whatever, and you're oh, okay, 0-0. And you just saw these things. Oh, okay, Everton. Oh, they beat Sheffield United yesterday. Very good. But you're right. We've been like starve and famine, isn't it? It's like, from feast to famine, or the other way around. We had no football, then this plethora of games like every day, and then it's over on Sunday.
It's like the World Cup, isn't it? It's like the World Cup or Euros, isn't it?
Yeah. And then Sunday, that's it. Stop. It's like, what? What do we do now? And we have to wait 2 months or whatever until sort of mid-September or when they think we're going to go back, but or get the games back. But yeah, it's weird. But hey, at least we're in the Premier League, and it's a bar 9.0. Yeah, exactly, recurring. And so it's good. But and I've been impressed. I mean, you look how many points we've taken. And it's not bad. We've done all right.
It's decent. Was it the season? The 2002 to 3 one where we got relegated, was it with 42 points?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 37 is people want to get 40 because we're not going to beat United. I'd want us to beat Villa in the last game to get that 40. That was a nice little.
Yeah. It is. It's like it's and until the last couple of seasons, it's always been how quickly we can get to 40, and I pray that next season we get to 40, or come up to January, we've got 30 odd points, and then we can have a good go at the cup. You know,
I was actually talking to I was actually watching, was it United a couple of days ago when they lost to Chelsea, and I was saying, one of my brothers was saying, you know, the Chelsea suddenly just turn up because United didn't put their best team out. What they rested Greenwood, Pogba, and Martial, and I think Ollie, you could have won a cup. And I think with us, I know Man United a different ball game, but with West Ham, if we can win a cup, a trophy, like do you remember that 2006 that Gerrard? I love Gerrard; he's a great guy, but he just, you know, was it 92nd minute or 90th minute, last minute drive? Yeah. We could have had a trophy. Like if we win a trophy, that's like, even if you get, I know I don't want to get relegated; it's not good. But what a trophy and being relegated, I'd take that rather than just constantly being, because when when we're old and on our deathbeds, we remember the moments when we got those trophies, lifting up the FA Cup or League Cup, up and down. You're right. Yeah, of course.
We won't remember the season we finished 12th under or 10th under Kirbishley, but you know, it's funny though because everyone moans about it. We could have done with one of them this season, just to stop it, just to stop the rot a little bit. But you're right. I think a good cup run, that's what West Ham fans need. You know, we're not in it for the football. We know we're not going to win the title, but you said, you know, get those 40 points quick and have a good cup run. And as you said, it just lifts the whole team. You say that 2006 was amazing, and it was a great occasion. You know, very, very bizarre game, but a great occasion. So obviously, you know, since you've been a fan, obviously we did the whole idea of this is My Hammers 11, and obviously you've been on Twitter and they and it's and so you know you've made everyone aware of you picking your 11. So there's a lot of pressure on you, Bobby.
I know there is.
There's a lot of pressure now.
Clarification about players that you've seen. Otherwise, I'm like, I was trying to think, who do I drop from the legends? And I don't have to do that. I don't have to think about Billy Bonds not making it. I would have been upset.
No, exactly.
That's not making my team, but I don't have to worry about that. I just pick players.
No, you don't. It's the only rule is you have to be alive to have seen them play, and obviously it means. Otherwise, after about 10 episodes, it'd have been boring as bugger because everyone would have picked, Phil Parks, Bobby Moore, Alvin Martin.
Interesting. Do you get people when they're picking their teams, people that pick the players from the 80s or from the noughties, do they end up picking similar squads if they're picking a generation?
Some people do. I mean, I spoke to one person once, and he said to me, on the premise, because we were talking about the players, and I was like, the players I loved, as you know, I still adore, and he said, he read a piece of research about people's favorite music is when they're 15, 16, 17, and I think that's really true with football players as well. I think about the players that I adored, and it wasn't necessarily Pablo Zabaleta or Haller, but it is Ian Bishop, John Moncur, people like that, who I was sort of my era. And some people do. I mean, it's quite interesting actually. The more, I don't call them older fans, the more experienced fans, they were fortunate enough to see Bobby Moore play and Billy Bonds, but then they still include, it's a cross-generational thing, you know, they will still include I don't know. I won't. I know your team, so they might still include I don't know, a Sebastian Haller, say, or a Felipe Anderson, or a Javier Margas, or a Marco Bugas, just because of the impact they have at different times of their sort of West Ham fan career. And that's what's quite nice, because people have different, obviously, time reference points. Some people may have only, particularly a lot of the foreign-based fans in the Hammers, American Hammers guys, and people like that. They've only been fans for 6 or 7 years, so they have a very different 11. People like Matt Taylor and Matt Jarvis, who we necessarily wouldn't put in there because we've got a bigger spread.
I met Matt Jarvis once.
He's a nice guy. We're going to get him on the chat. He's coming on the channel soon, so yeah, we're very fortunate. But yeah, Matt Jarvis, lovely guy, doing a lot of housework at the moment. That's why he hasn't been on the channel yet. But it's great. And so for you obviously you've got a nice spread. So your spread is very similar to my spread, to be honest, Bobby.
Yeah.
So
some players from like back in the early days of the Premier League, and some from right bang on. Some, in fact, I think there's one choice in my team that people might go, you wouldn't have picked him 2 weeks ago. Maybe not. Lockdown, I might not pick him.
That could be.
I reckon I'm picking this one person because he's done well since lockdown, and I think this could be the start of him building a good couple of years for us.
It could be, and we'll talk about that, because I think because we don't want to spoil it for anyone. I'm sure people could probably guess. Yeah, spoiler alert: it's not Jeremy Ngakia. I'm just saying that now. Just saying that now. Right. Okay. Let's start with the Bobby 11. So, who have we got between the sticks?
Okay, at the back. So I was thinking between like, I like David James. Like David James, like I think I think one thing I like about him is he's actually an artist. He's like a really talented, sensitive guy. He wasn't so great in Strictly. So I was thinking, he's a good bloke. I like him.
Would you do Strictly, Bobby? Would you do Strictly?
Funnily enough, I've actually had a chat with my school about and my university of seeing stuff that I'm allowed to do. So, I was offered Celebrity Big Brother, and I turned that down because doesn't fit with me.
Yeah.
There are certain shows that I couldn't do because it wouldn't fit with my, like, not brand is the wrong word, but me as an educator.
I know what you mean, yeah.
Where Strictly would fit sort of almost perfect. Like, I actually did lessons. I was teaching for Ultimate Buse's home festival this summer. So I was their, like, geography, maths, history teacher. So that would sort of, like, at some stage, yeah, if it came calling, I wouldn't turn it down. I wouldn't turn it down.
You do like pirouettes when you're talking about Pythagoras theory.
I would dance to "I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles." I'm not kidding you.
Do you know or Dean Martin version? A nice waltz.
Yeah, nice.
That was my wedding song. Anyway, who's between the sticks?
Okay, so this person, he's a bit of a. I'm also doing like a reveal, like a bit of info. So it was like on Universe Challenge, you build up clues and people could buzz in and guess who it is. So this person's a bit of a cult figure for a club. And to be honest, like, I remember iconically for one performance where that's unfair. We gave Blackburn the title. So I remember Man United, Upton Park, if they'd got the win, they would have got the title. I think a three-peat, a triple of the title. But Man and the Sticks just stopped them, and right near the end, he stopped Andy Cole. And I remember going to school like, yes, this guy stopped Man United winning the title. And I think he came from Czech Republic, played a few 300 games for the club. So it's Ludek McCloskey. He ended up being a goalkeeping coach for our club. But I think just like, for me, it's like the first keeper I remember. Like, we're talking about, you pick some players as your childhood memories, others because they've sort of become prominent recently. But he's like my first proper West Ham keeper, and has always been my West Ham keeper.
Yeah. And you're right. You're right, totally. That Man United game will always be his sort of, I don't know, his sort of highlight reel, because that was, and it was actually quite funny because I was watching some of because my granddad always used to call him Loopy Ludo, God rest his soul, and I never really believed him, but he was like just a larger than life character, and it's great when you talk to the players and the players who played with him, and they all loved him. He was a lovely guy, and also some of the fans, because he did a hell of a lot for like the Scandinavian Hammers and stuff, and a lovely guy. Unfortunately, he won't come on the channel because he doesn't do English interviews very well. He said so. It's a shame, but we never know. We might get him eventually, but he was kind enough to call me. Right, okay. Ludo is in. Okay, nice. I'll let you just carry on. You go in it, whatever order you want to.
Okay, so I'll go my back line. I'll go left back. So left back is not a very controversial choice. So this guy had a thunderbolt of a left foot in the 90s, proper hard man. It was like our version of Vinnie Jones.
Yeah.
He had a couple of stints for us. And like, if you look at his goal scoring record, 50 goals in about 250 games, that is like proper top notch for a defender.
For a left back, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Was it won Player of the Year 4 times? Properly tough on the tackle, solid penalty taker, solid free kick taker. A bit of a naughty guy, got in trouble, and I'm sure a couple of times with Canio got into like a bit of tussles on the pitch. So but I just think larger than life character. There's only, to be honest, I'm struggling to think of any other person that can fit anyone's left back.
Yeah, I mean, it's
like more than 50% of your.
I believe it's more like 60, almost 70%. I think it's between him and Raz Van Rat.
Okay, fair enough.
That's That's about it. Him and Frank Lampard.
Fictional. No, it has to be Julian Dix.
Yeah.
And he was like, some of the first players of West Ham I liked were, I love Cotty in the second spell. I love Dix, but Dix just like, because he was like smashing those goals. I remember in the playground trying to pretend to like smacking goals from distance. And his pile drivers.
Yeah, he was a brilliant player. He was, and I think outside of West Ham, he wasn't as his reputation went before him, unfortunately. But we all knew what a good player he was, and I think because he was relatable. I could see him going in the pub, and the stories were true. He would sit there before the match. He wouldn't train. He wouldn't warm up. He would have a can of Coke and a Mars bar, and then go out and play. And that was true because
wasn't it? Like professionalism. People just played football, would have a pint after the game, and it's just football. I think who transformed? Was it Arsene Wenger? Did he change football culture in Premier League? Because back then you could just do what you wanted as long as you turned up, did your bit of training, played the pitch.
Exactly. When you talk to the older players as well, the McAvenis of this world and stuff, Ian Bishops, they partied hard, but then they played hard as well, and they wouldn't want. And that's why I think you don't mind. People. It was really relatable to that, and so I just think sometimes footballers now is almost like it's so uber professional. They have to be very, very busy and stuff, and I just don't think you have the same. I haven't got the same. I've got the same sort of allegiance to a Sebastian Haller as I do to John Moncur, for example. Just because there's that relatability, and it's not because one's a foreign-based player, because people like Canio and stuff like that, but it's just the way the game's changed, unfortunately. And it's true every person you speak to, all the older players, that's exactly what they say. Players don't hang around as long as they used to as well, which I think why you don't get that steam. Right, okay, Dixie's in. Ludo, Dixie, who's next?
So I'm going to go for a back three, mainly because there are more attacking players I wanted to get in.
Nice.
So I was thinking between Ginger Pele. He was close. And I wanted to give it to him, but how can I turn down one of the greatest talents that West Ham's youth has produced? I mean, one of the greatest defending talents England's ever produced. And I almost wish we'd had him for longer, but at the age of 19, for this player to become our player of the year, as a defender, to be player of the year is pretty special, because if you're a midfield forward player, you get recognition. But as a defender, it's so rare. And in the end, he moved to Leeds for like 18 million. But Rio Ferdinand. And it was quite iconic. His first game, he came on as a sub for Tony Cottee. And it's like, how cool is that? One of our proper club legends. And I know Rio's not like a legend in the sense of, been there for like 10, 15 years. But his youth and his development before he moved on to bigger things, to England stardom, I've got to put Rio, one of the greatest defenders ever.
Yeah, totally. And a lovely guy. And he's one of these people, it's quite funny when he does other stuff. So when he was on Peter Crouch's thing the other day, and when you see him on telly, I still see him as a West Ham boy, despite the fact they put, Man United captain and leader. He was West Ham. He's still a West Ham boy. And obviously, his brother and stuff like that as well. And
Anton's been a new channel, hasn't he?
Yeah. He's lovely. Yeah, he's a nice guy. And I mean, we hope one day we might get he retweeted one of my Tony Carr videos. So come on, Rio, come on, you could do it. But I'll get Anton on the case as well with him. Right, okay, Rio. And who's going to be the third in your sort of defensive back three? Yeah.
So again, when we talk about loyalty to clubs and people that have lasted, and this chap here, 17 years. Interestingly, he was born in Hartford, Connecticut, in the US. I know it's a strange, looking at West Ham players, but I don't see him as I don't see him as an American guy. And he reminds me of myself as a player, because I was a defender, but ended up being a utility player because I'm pretty competent, maybe moving to midfield if we needed, very loyal. Steve Potsy, and he's again one of the early players. I remember when I got him as a sticker in my, the Premier League Panini books. I was like, yes. Potsy, Moncur, they're the ones I used to get loads of for some reason. Short guy, only 5'7", so I'm like 5'5" myself. So I like short guys that do well. And it was him and was it Tim Breaker, who were trying to get that position. And I think because he's short, I felt like a bit more of an affinity, and also someone that pretty much, I think he played at the end for Dagenham and Redbridge for 20 games.
Yeah.
But his career majority was with us. Yeah. And I think that loyalty, we don't see that. It's very rare. And again, one of our players later on I'll talk about has that sort of same loyalty. But it's very rare now in the modern game to see that, what he had, 85 to 2002, almost like a Mr. West Ham, pretty much.
Yeah, he is. And obviously, he's still in the under 23 setup and stuff like that. And you're right. I mean, I remember interviewing Tony Gale or someone like that. I think it was Tony Gale. And he said that every year he was at West Ham was almost a testimonial year. And you don't get that loyalty. I mean, that's why I think we need to literally do something incredible for Mark Noble to have played 500 games for the club is in particularly in today's world is phenomenal, let alone in, any time of football. And we go, well, me and I said, I'm trying to do something for through the channel for him, and we'll be doing that soon, hopefully. But yeah, no, he's a fantastic player. And Potsy, do you know what? I formed with my mate. I formed a 2-person fan club at the Steve Potts Appreciation Society when I was about 12. Yeah, we should get it going again. But yeah, I love Potsy. Okay, that is a nice solid 4, including Ludo. Carry on, Bobby. You go for
Okay, so we're going to go to the midfield. Yep. So I'm picking a player that. Okay, so we've got like Potsy, like 17 years at the club, dedicated beyond all measure, apart from maybe the modern Mr. West Ham. So this player I'm picking, like, I've very rarely seen someone with a claret and blue shirt with a level of skills, like the dribbling, the technique, the vision. Again, the way he could, again, we talked about Dix, the way he could rifle a ball, but this person here, the way he could get a ball and just manipulate it into the corner. And there are a couple of goals. Was it a free kick against United, a free kick against Bournemouth? I was watching it recently on YouTube, and the Bournemouth free kick is just like, how does he just get the ball right into that corner? And it's Dimitri Payet. I know he's only there for a couple of years, but he played less than 50 games for us. But like his debut, we were playing against Arsenal, Emirates, and I think he assisted Coyote, and we won 2-0. And from that, I was like, "Oh, this player looks pretty decent." Yeah. And do you reckon he's world class? At his peak, he was.
He was well. I mean, he was. We don't get many Ballon d'Or nominees. It was technically he was the 13th best player in the world that season.
Crazy, I know, crazy.
And he played for West Ham.
I know,
absolutely mental. And particularly it was like it doesn't very often happen at West Ham where you've got a player that all your mates who don't support West Ham want in their team.
I know.
You know what I mean? It's like I live in Hornchurch, so we've got a lot of Tottenham fans, obviously mainly West Ham, but even my mates, my schoolmates, my old school, we might be playing Liverpool, and the Liverpool fan goes, "Oh, Dimitri Payet, I'd love him in my team," and he was our player. And I was talking to I think it was Gonzo from Hammer's Chat. We was talking about the song, because obviously the song which we invented, then people nicked for Ozil and stuff like that. And yeah, it's almost a celebratory song, but actually he had a nice slant on it. He thought it was almost like disbelief. We've got Payet. I just don't think we understand. It's so true. But you're right, 50 games, but he made such an impact for the modern fan and any fan. Because that last season was incredible. It wouldn't have been the same without him in that team.
Yeah, I think it's like when we talk about West Ham, the way we play the ball. Again, we're not a team that's going to be in the conventional big six, but we talk about the quality of what we play. And a lot of people talk about our club being like a neutral's favorite, and Payet almost represents a bit of that, because he's got that skill and that vision where if you don't like West Ham, you know nothing about, you watch and go, that's a good club, they know how to play football. And Payet represents that, even though it's only for a couple of years. And again, it's a bit of a shame at the end. And again, it just shows you modern football, it becomes much more, there's so much money involved. It becomes about other things. But for a while we had someone that was, do you remember watching, was it the Euros, watching Payet for France? I'm like, that's crazy, that's our player, that's West Ham player, lighting it up on, the international stage.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, seeing, people walking around, Essex with French shirts with Payet on the back, and it's like weird. But yeah, it was a sense of pride, and we haven't had that, not in my time I can remember. Very rarely you get a player who performs in the international stage like that. And he was just I was honoured that he played for us, because it was an honour to watch him play. As you said, you would know anyone sort of the statistics involved, the trajectory to get those the spin on that. It was incredible, an absolutely incredible player, and it worked. And it just the stars don't usually align for West Ham, but that time they did. They had the right manager, the right player. He knew how to work with him, and obviously, that last season was just magical at Upton Park. Right, who's next then?
So we're now in the centre of the park, so going for someone that had 2 spells for us. Frustratingly, the spells were before his peak. One was at his end. But in terms of like pure talent on the ball, one of the most precocious talents ever to emerge from our system. He reminded me, maybe just a bit more of an adult. I thought, like, actually, I could see a bit of Gaza in this guy, the way he had this touch, the craft and the ball, and he could like, also, like Bruno Fernandes at Man, the way he could see things. This guy could just see things and lift the ball. He came back to us. I sort of think it's a shame. The first season I watched him properly was the year that we got relegated.
Yeah.
In that year, we had a great team that year.
Yeah.
But Joe Cole, for me, just again, I think he like represents like even more than Pyatt because he was one of our youth players. The sort of players that we develop, players that can pick out a pass, players with vision. Because he's not a big player. He's a short. I think that West Ham, we don't have many there's a Billy Bond, 6'3". He's coming up. We don't have the huge players, but players that are small, compact, can pick a pass, and Joe Cole represented, I think, the best of that.
Yeah, totally. Although actually saying that, recently, since the restart, we've had this sort of, someone like Souček, and how many heady goals have we scored and corners and we it's amazing. But you still got the people like the Bowens who are just like stocky. It's brilliant. I think. Oh, do you know what? I was just excited when we signed Dean Ashton as when we signed Bowen because he's young, he's hungry, and he has got the grit in his teeth, and I love him. But yeah, Joe Cole, he was like, you're right. He came at the bookends of his career with us, but. In theory, he was with us since he was 12, 13, and he was just.
I've seen the video of him, was it the Milk Cup? One of those when he's at 13 or 12. I saw it on YouTube recently.
Yeah.
He's a little lad, and he's been tearing it up and just saying, "Yeah, I love West Ham, and I'm just going to keep working at my game." Yeah, it's
brilliant. I loved him. Magician. I loved him. He was a magician, and you're right. He was technically so gifted, but because he was one of our boys, there's more. People revere him even more, don't they, because of that? I love Joe Cole. All right, okay, Joe's in. You're doing well so far, Bobby. This is pretty much my team. Okay, who else? Who's next?
So we're going. This is my captain.
Yeah.
So he's only a couple of years younger than me. He's a Canning Town lad. So I wonder if we ever cross paths. I met him subsequently doing work for the West Ham Foundation, but I wonder if we ever cross paths on a bus in our school days. So he's had 500 appearances at the club. He's played for us. Apart from he had a couple of loan spells. Was it at Harlan, Ipswich?
Yeah.
And this is a player that should have got an England full cap. He got caps at under 16, 17, 18, 21, and he even turned down the chance to play for Ireland. His grandparents, I think, from his mum and dad's side are from Cork.
Yeah.
But he said, no, I'm gonna give it to someone else. I don't want to just pick up the shirt and disrespect someone else's opportunities. Like he's got so much respect, so much loyalty. Mr. West Ham, Mark Noble. I think this guy's going to be a manager one day.
Oh yeah. Without doubt.
It's so rare to find a player you were talking about, not just in the modern game, but any sort of historical era. 500 games for one club, that loyalty. And I know like his legs aren't what they used to be, but just his heart on his sleeve, and that's what I want because sometimes we get the Premier League, we get these foreign players, and we need them. They add value to the Premier League because they're like world stars. But sometimes they come because they know it's like, London's a great place to be. Premier League will boost their status for brands and stuff. But Mark Noble, he's like a local lad, puts everything on the pitch. And again, he supports the community, supports charity work here. He's a Hammer of the Decade 2010s. Like, even if we did like a Hammers of all time, I know Bobby Moore will probably end up being the Hammers captain. I would put him like my vice captain of all time because he just represents literally everything it means to be a Claret and Blue.
Yeah, you're totally right. And obviously, I'm fortunate enough because I'm one of the 300 to go to the games at the moment. Play the music. So clearly, they need to know what stadium they're playing at. And stuff like that. And so I'm one of the 400 there, 300 there. And I was gutted I didn't record it on my phone or whatever, but Mark wasn't that Chelsea game. Mark wasn't playing, so he was sat in the disabled bay because that's actually socially distanced already because obviously they'd have space for the wheelchair access. So it was him, David Martin, and when that third goal went in, when Yarma scored, and obviously there was a photo taken where they showed the bench from behind Yarma, and you saw like Bowen's face, like a little schoolboy. Seeing Mark Noble celebrate that goal, he almost punched a hole in the wall. He was so much joy, and as soon as that final whistle went, he jumped over the barrier to run down the stairs and run into the tunnel. And it's like he still, despite the fact that he's played 500 games and he still has this enthusiasm for the club, and it's the same as us. We've been supporting West Ham for God knows how long, and we still get excited. We still know they're not going to turn up against Watford. Well, they did, but turn up against a Watford, and they'll turn up against a Man United. But he still has it, and I absolutely adore the man. I was watching the the Iron Men video, a film the other day. It was obviously Amazon Prime and nothing to do. I've watched Tiger King, so I thought I'd do that. And the man, he just got me again, just watching him talking about West Ham and stuff. And obviously, the club did his 500 little video for YouTube, which honestly, if anyone has a dry eye after watching that, they are not human. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful piece of work. And I love the man. I absolutely love the man.
Yeah. I say as soon as he's finished playing, get him on get him his coaching badges, get him to work with our youth, build him up, because we've got someone, I think he could be a manager for like 10, 15, 20 years. He could be one of those. Could be one of those. And we're not a top 6 club, but I can genuinely imagine like in 20 years' time, we could end up being like one of those clubs that break in if we got someone like Noble that gives us stability. Yeah.
No, I know what you mean. I totally agree. And I interviewed Kevin Keane, and one thing he said was he has been listening, getting in Mark's ear about becoming because apparently he's fantastic with the kids because they look up to him because he's Mr. No disrespect, but if you're a 12-year-old boy or 12-year-old girl and you've got, Kevin Keane, who they don't know who he is, but this guy who's the captain of West Ham, he's going to have this longevity as a coach for many, many years. But Mark's, I think once he retires, he'll get his badges. I don't think he'll be able to leave the ground for more than 5 minutes. So he's sort of stuck there, isn't he? When those dogs when they're a really long lead. That's Mark.
Get him back.
Reel him back in. Right, Nobes is in. Who's next there, Bobby?
So we've got back 3. We're going to have a 4 in the midfield. And I'm going to put... so this guy, thing is, if you mention him to most people in the public, they'll probably remember an amazing bicycle kick outside the box, not for our club, but for QPR. Or when he celebrated when Beckham scored against Argentina a penalty, and you see him going into the corner. But for me, again, the time when I was really getting into hammers, and again, unfortunately, a few of the players I picked were the ones I properly saw in the year that we got relegated. Season ticket. So he was in that season as well. But Trevor Sinclair, just the way he'd bomb up and down the pitch and got his fair share of goals. Got close to 40 goals for the club. And I think there's one goal was against Derby County.
Yes.
Boxing Day. Boxing Day is always great. It's like we're talking about football all the time. Between Christmas and New Year, we got loads of football. It's almost like we're living in that period now.
Yeah. Continually for about a month.
He's got that scissor kick goal. I love Trevor. He's a bit controversial nowadays in some of his statements on Twitter, or I guess if you're a media personality, you got to say things to get people to almost like clickbaity sometimes. But as a player, I loved him. He's only 5 years, but
he still loves the club.
To make England as well.
You're right, and he played for England again. Another player who was performing at a World Cup for us, and he was still a West Ham player when he was at that World Cup, and he still loves the club. He still sees interaction. And one day we'll get him on. Lots of tweets. He likes loads of my tweets, but he doesn't. We'll get him on. We'll get Trevor on. We'll get him all in now, Bob. Now you're on. We'll get him all in, son. But I love Tricky Trev. Honestly, and again, I always talk about my granddad, God rest his soul. But his eyesight was going when we used to go to West Ham, and anything that was done well by a black player for West Ham was Trevor Sinclair. It may have been, I don't know, David James in goal or whatever, but it was Trevor Sinclair, bless him. And I loved him, honestly. And I think he was one of those. I can see a lot of parallels to another player you're going to be talking about soon. Just fast, quick, strong runner. And we don't get that enough in the Premier League. Everyone's too clever. And
wingers. We don't having those good wingers. It's rare. People, I guess the game's changing, but Trevor was one of those solid in the wing.
Yeah. And he was him down one wing, and we used to have loads of good left wingers like Matty Etherington and Lazaridis, and even before that Matthew Rush and people like that. And they were just proper wingers, just run to beat the fullback and cross it in. As long as you got a good striker in, and Trev did. He had obviously that the cross for the goal, that was him, and it was and obviously he had Hartson and people like that as well. But big fan of Trev. Okay, who we got next? So we got the
midfield 4.
Yeah.
And in front of the forward line, I'm going to put someone in that pocket.
Nice.
So this person, I don't know how to describe him. Man, myth, legend. Most people are going to remember him for one of the greatest Premier League goals ever. But the thing that I often remember him for is the two things. One is one I saw myself in the ground. But another one is when we were playing against Everton, and I think the keeper got injured.
Yeah.
And instead of like, he picked up the ball instead of going and scoring, and everyone's like, that's just from another era.
Yeah.
And Paolo Di Canio,
Yeah.
just like that just represents him, because I think he's bigger than football. He's bigger than sport. He's like this. He's just like larger than life character. And obviously, added to that, he's got that heart. He's got that like that gift, that vision. And you know, when you look at all time, not just West Ham goals, but all time Premier League goals, that volley with the outside of the boot, that's got to stand up. What, top 5 goals?
Top goal. I mean, he's got to be one of the best, isn't it? I can't really think. Maybe Rooney's when he scored that goal against
Schiller, that was Schiller, wasn't it? Against Man City.
Yeah, it's still. I mean, yeah, he's constantly voted the best goal in Premier League, and you can see why. And talking to players around that era who trained with him, he was doing that every week, every day in training. Every day he was scoring those type of goals. And
you can see why United wanted him. Again, I think he felt very loyal to us because we picked him up after the Alcock Sheffield Wednesday incident, and then Ferguson wanted him in 2001.
Yeah,
and he's like, no, I'm staying. And again, he's someone that, again, he demonstrated. I think because we showed him faith. We're like, we're going to bring you in, and he repaid that back by saying, I'm going to stay with you guys.
Yeah, totally. I mean, the man's got ink with us. You know, he's inked himself. He's got a West Ham tattoo, and you know, and again, one of these. You know, and it might be, I don't know, the passion of the Italian fans, and maybe you saw the same passion in the West Ham fans, and that's why you had this sort of. I mean, I always talk about a story that Nicky Hawkins from West Ham Fan TV, they were doing a Q&A, you know, and they get the players on, and Paolo was the person they were interviewing, and he turned up, you know, looking $1 million, you know, bronzed, glasses, all the suit, Armani suit and whatever, and they said, "Paolo, you're looking good, mate," and he just went, "I always dress up for my family." That's it. And that was it. You know, blubbing away I was, but I always said, because that's the man that, you know, and I just think he's although Payet was technically the best player I think I've ever seen at West Ham, Di Canio was the best player, because I think you've got the technicality, you've got the charisma, you've got the passion, you've got the heart, and I just think you need all of those. It's a Venn diagram, isn't it? It's a pie, and he's in the middle, isn't he?
Right back in the middle. Actually, like you mentioned his Italian background, and so we got our Paolo Di Canio song, you know, the Paolo Di Canio. So I remember in my Monkman and Seagal BBC series 1, the first one, we're in a library, Gladstone, Prime Minister Gladstone's library. And then by chance, again, it's not scripted, we just walked past the opera section. I was telling my mate, again, on camera, saying, "Oh, there's a book here by, there's a Verdi opera, Rigoletto." And I was telling him, "Have you heard of Rigoletto?" And Eric knows pretty much everything about it.
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, there's an aria called La Donna Immobile." And us West Ham fans, like many other fans, we adopted that La Donna Immobile, La Donna Immobile. So on BBC 2 primetime telly, I'm there teaching my mate Eric Monkman, like one of the legends of Universe Challenge, the Paolo Di Canio song. And I wasn't sure how he'd react. He started singing along, going Paolo Di Canio, and then the cameraman and the crew, they were like, "What are they on about?" But they kept it in because they just like, I don't know, it's a bit like,
yeah. I know exactly what it is, and it's like you just got next Bobby to do his here, his there, his everywhere. John Moncur. That's what you got to do. That's your task for next time.
Next one is to get that in.
I'm actually a descendant of Gladstone. I did my ancestry.com.
Really?
Okay. Yes. Can't you tell by the sort of, you know? But
the eloquence and the confidence.
That's what it is. Yeah, I am. I did. You know, it was because I remember my nan. I don't know why we're talking about this, but it doesn't matter. I remember there was in my nan's house. There was always a picture of Gladstone. And I was like, you know, obviously I was learning history, and I was like, "Why is that there?" And she went, "Oh, we're related." And I was like, "Yeah, whatever." And obviously, then you do your ancestry thing, and it's like, you know, .co.uk or whatever. And yeah, I found the line. I was like, "Oh my god!" But anyway, you know, we digress as always we do. So yeah, Di Canio is in. Yeah. And I watched that clip actually. It was very funny. Yeah, bless him, because he didn't really know what was going on to start off with, did he, Monk?
Yeah, he doesn't. What do you think? Opera? Okay. Di Canio? Who's that?
Yeah. He just sing along, bless him. Right, okay, so we've got Di Canio in the hole. So who's going to be spearheading this team then, Bobby? Who have we got?
Okay, I gave a hint about one of the players.
Yes.
So this is someone, if you'd asked me 2 months ago, would I put him? I'm not too sure. So he's the first time I met this player was actually 3 years ago. I was invited by West Ham when I started doing work at the foundation.
Yeah.
And it was at half-time. He was injured. And the club were like, "Oh, go to this player, go and have a chat with Bobby." And I ended up having barbecue chicken wings with this player. at half-time in a game. He was injured, so he was doing like press work. And I choking this guy. He's like really down to earth, humble guy. And again, if you look at his career, he started at Mitcham and Tooting, and he was at Reading, had loan spells at Cheltenham, at Colchester. So you'd think he's not going to end up being a Premier League player, but he ended up, playing for West Ham at 20. Moved to us 2015, and he's always been there or thereabouts. And again, I'll remember him for the goal that broke Spurs' 100% record at their new stadium and the dance. We know who we're talking about. It's Mikel Antonio. Since lockdown, he's been on fire. This guy,
brilliant.
Do you think Moyes, again, that Moyes, what he did to Arnautovic, started making him effective in the box? And Antonio now, who else got better stats than him in the Premiership?
I saw something the other day, and his stats are off the chart since restart.
Yeah.
And same as something like Souček. Souček's run more than anyone else, and Bowen's got as many assists as someone else. And he's an absolute beast. And when he's got the bit between his teeth, which he has in the last, he's brilliant, and it's great. I just want. The only thing is, I'm always worried with him that he's one injury away from another.
I always think that.
Do you know what I mean?
The first time I met him was because he was on an injury break. The club were getting him to do like press relations work.
Yeah.
And I'm always gutted. The game against Norwich, when he got that fourth goal, I started Googling, who else has got 5? Because Aguero, Berbatov, Defoe, Shearer and Cole are the only players who've ever got 5. And I was thinking, Moyes, just keep him on 12 minutes. Norwich are letting in goals left, right, and centre. He could have got that. I reckon he could have got the 5th, and the club would have willed him on. But he's got 4. That's going to be a lesson for.
He's brilliant. And the only thing that has disappointed me about Antonio's career at West Ham, particularly in the last, since Kevin Nolan's come on, is he hasn't done a chicken dance as a celebration. I can't believe he hasn't done it. Even Norwich, the 4th goal, he could have come over and done that, and it would have been hilarious. But he's done the Macarena, he's done the worm, he's done it all.
Was the one on the floor? The one he did on the floor?
Yeah, the Homer Simpson one. Yeah, Homer Simpson one. But he's great. He's great. And I just hope that after restart, next season he can have a proper run with Haller up front, and because Haller likes working with him, you can tell. And
Haller needs someone like Antonio.
And it's made. You've got Bowen, Haller, and Antonio. That's your 3, and it would scare the crap out of anyone. It's very good. Okay, Antonio is in. Who is the last piece?
So the thing is, I was tempted to put Tevez because that he saved us the little Houdini trick. The last, we got him through strange means. We'll just call it that.
We'll just say that.
I was very, very tempted to put him down. But in the end, I ended up picking someone closer to home. Someone that, again, I told you, I played against when I was 7, 8, 9. Absolutely destroyed me. Ended up going to my school. But I'm picking him more for I think this guy, not just what he did at West Ham, but what he's shown as a striker. He's the 8th top scorer in Premier League history. And also what he's done with little Bradley Lowry a few years ago. He's got footballers sometimes are seen as a bit detached from us because obviously they live very wealthy lifestyles. But Jermaine Defoe is not just a top quality striker, knows how to play, really smart. Scored a winning goal for England in the World Cup. Was it Slovakia in the South Africa World Cup? But he's got a proper heart to goal as well. What he did with Bradley Lowry, and I think for that he's ascended football into another level. We talk about players that move beyond football, and he's done that for a lot of people in the public.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And you're right. He was a great striker for us, and it was he was, obviously it went a bit sour and, but he's admitted that he went wrong and he wished he hadn't have done it. He was great. And, we don't get any little, Hernandez at a time, he could have been that sort of, but he was a bit past it. But since Tony Cottee, you haven't had that sort of small, nippy striker, and he was that, and he scored some great goals for us. And
the winner against United at Old Trafford. Beating Man United is always a pleasure.
It's always Man United. It's always Man United.
The Canio with the Bartes putting his hand up.
Yeah.
Will we do it again? This season, who knows?
Who knows? As I said, I've got to talk to one of their fans' websites tomorrow morning, so we'll see what happens. But for banter apparently. So God knows what that's going to be. But it'll be up. That'll be up before this goes up. But Bobby, man, it's been amazing. It's been really, really nice talking to you. I feel like a kindred. You're my kindred spirit because I've got that in a sort of maths and geeks. I bet in this West Ham as well. I know, and I'm not allowed to get it out too much. So my wife just looks at me like I'm an idiot when I talk about things. But it's nice. I appreciate your time. And obviously, really, really busy and stuff. And obviously, guys, Wednesday 8:00, got the football quiz. For the NHS as always. Follow Bobby on Twitter. I'm sure you'll do anyway. And obviously the family quizzes on Sunday and stuff. And you can have a little bit of a rest, Bobby, until.
So I'm writing a couple of books this summer. I'm doing one is a non so exciting maths textbook.
Yeah.
The second one I'm writing is almost like a Tracy Beaker meets Curious Incidents of the Dog in the Nighttime, like a fiction, like famous 5 mystery. It's like an adventure book with kids solving puzzles along the way. And like in my mind, I'm still writing it so that one day it can be made into like a television series as well. So I'm sort of got my
oh my god, that's so up my daughter's street. That's unbelievable, Bobby. She loves all that. That's brilliant. Oh, I'll keep an eye out for that. Anyway, thank you so much, Bobby, for your time. And obviously, thank you to everyone for watching, liking, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And until next time, for me and Bobby, take care, everyone. Stay safe and come on, you irons. Come on, big game this week. Cheers, everyone. Bye-bye.